name is Misha Sharma and I work with the household finance practice at Dwara Research. We're just giving it a couple of minutes for participants to start joining. But in the meantime, just to quickly introduce Dwara Research. Dwara Research is a policy research institution, and our mission is to ensure that every individual and every enterprise has complete and suitable access to financial services. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. We have with us Professor Prasanna Tantri and Nitin Vishain, who are the authors of this research study titled Do Social Ties Trump Collateral in Determining Loan Performance, Evidence Using Same-Day Loan Repayment. And today they will be talking to us about a research study that looks to evaluate the comparative performance of JLG joint liability group-based lending versus individual lending. So let me just do a quick check of the number of participants. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and quickly introduce them. So Professor Prasanna Tantri is an assistant professor of finance and executive director at Center for Analytical Finance, Indian School of Business. He also heads the NSE ISB Trading Laboratory at Indian School of Business. His research interests include studying the behavior of borrowers with respect to structural and contractual stimuli, as well as interactions of the financial and other governmental systems with firms and individuals. Nitin Vishain is a doctoral student in ISB's Fellow Program in Management. He has previously worked at developing and analyzing risk management tools and frameworks through both a technological as well as banking lens. The broad focus of his research is financial economics, where he's interested in the determinants of credit risk for both customers as well as providers. Professor Sumit Agrawal is not here with us at the moment, but we'll see if he can join us for the Q&A session or not. If not, we'll just continue with Professor Prasanna and Nitin. Before I hand over to Professor Prasanna, some quick announcement about the structure of the session. We will first have the authors make a presentation of their study for the first half an hour or so, and we'll follow this up by a question and answer session that will be moderated by me. And we hope to discuss some of the potential implications emerging from this study, especially for the microfinance sector. Please feel free to post in your questions in the Q&A toolbox during the presentation and even after that. We will follow that tab more carefully and take in your questions post the presentation by the author. With that, over to you, Professor Prasanna.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for showing up. I'm sure this is your nth webinar this week, and I don't know how many have happened this month. Despite that, people still show up. Nice to know. Let me share my screen before I. Is this visible? The title, and anyone can, Misha?
Yeah, it's visible, Professor Prasanna.
Okay,
maybe you can just zoom in a little. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay. So before I get into the paper, let me tell you the broad motivation and purpose of doing this research. We at ISB, especially Center for Analytical Finance, we are looking at various various aspects of borrower behavior. And one of the things that we are focusing on is there a pecking order in loan repayment? We came to know when we looked at academic research, and after talking to practitioners, we realized, including bureaus, we realized that this aspect that the same person may have an implicit pecking order for paying different types of loans is not well understood, and also not considered in pricing, and implicitly maybe people who are intuitive may be considering this implicitly, but definitely not explicitly considered. So we thought we'll start with this one aspect where we say that if given a group loan and an individual loan, which loan person is likely to repay first when he or she is in trouble, or even when he or she wants to strategically default. By strategically default, I mean you have the money but still you are defaulting. So why is this question important, and why do we need this kind of data? Obviously, we are thankful to Dwara and people there for providing us this data. The reason why we need this kind of data is people have looked at this question using, say, you take a sample of group loans and you take a sample of individual loans, and you find whatever you find, the basic concern remains that these two are different set of people, right? So you cannot attribute a performance difference to the loan structure itself. That's a big concern that's been there in the literature. People have tried to do randomized controlled trials where you start with the group loan and then take away some features of group loan and so on and so forth. But still, you can't based on those trials, you can't answer the question whether loan repayment is different for different types of loans. Now, what we did using this data, we look at a special case where the same borrower has to pay two loans on the same day. The due date is the same, and he or she is required to pay two types of loans. Now we ask a question that on which loan the borrower is likely to default less, or which is the which is the loan that the borrower prefers more. That's the question that we ask, and because it's conditioned on same borrower, the question of different type of people, that doesn't arise. All kinds of individual heterogeneities are gone. The second thing is, because even the timing is the same, it's on the same day, all kind of time varying shocks, it's possible that when the on group loan due date something might have happened, and all those kind of concerns are also gone. So this is a very tight identification strategy. Another purpose of this, I hope the purpose of this presentation is to convince you that why this academic research takes time, especially those aimed at top journals, because you will see that we follow a process of rejection. We don't just latch on to a hypothesis and start claiming that this is what is going on. We try our best to reject our own hypothesis, and once we are not able to do it, that's where we start claiming something is going on. Anyway, so with that, that's the background. So the question that we'll address today, and this is a co-author study with Sumit Agarwal from NUS and Nitin Vishayan from ISB, and I'm Prasanna. So Nitin is here. So let me move on. Okay, I already motivated the research question. So the question is, in terms of a pecking order, whether group loans are preferred over individual loans for the same individual. That's a question that we ask. This question is important because I have spoken to many entrepreneurs. They keep asking, is there a way we can graduate group people to individual loans? That's one question that I keep hearing. If you know the preference of a person, that this can be a starting point to learn who are those people who will do well when given individual loans. Who are those? See, what we are going to show average effect doesn't mean that that's what everybody is going to behave like. There will be people who will prefer group loans. There will be people who prefer individual loans, and using ML kind of techniques, one can really identify with this design who are those people whom individual loans can be given, group loans can be given, or both can be given together. So that's the practical use of the paper, of the findings of this paper, or at least the methodology can be used to study that. So that was one of the motivations. And then, as I said, academically, this question hasn't been explored. So the setting, as already explained, so these are NBFC loans in 3 states, and the picture below shows you what we mean. So there may be loans which are given on different dates. Frequencies could be different. Usually group loans are weekly frequency, and month loans are individual loans are monthly frequency. So we are looking at times when they sort of coincide. So those dark red dots are those where two loans, a borrower has two loans and they coincide. And we ask a question, if at all a borrower has to default, which is the loan that borrower defaults more frequently. So this is summary evidence. This is like a starting point. So the figure on the extreme left just gives you that it doesn't condition on same day repayment. If you take all people who have simultaneous 2 loans running, where is the default rate higher? This is what a lot of people have done. And we find that the blue line, which is individual loan, the default rate is higher. Then what we do is then we condition on same day repayment. There also the default rate is higher for individual loans and less for group loans. And third, there is this concern that, since they're always overlapping, these may be kind of special because the guy who gave the loan knows, let's take a group loan and an individual loan, and both are monthly frequency. While giving the loan itself, I know that both of these are going to overlap all the time. So these kind of loans may be sort of special. So therefore, what we do is we take loans that are of different frequency. Group loan may be weekly frequency, individual loan may be monthly frequency, so that the fact that they have to be repaid on a particular day is not sort of pre-programmed. Sometimes they pay on the same day, sometimes they don't. And even within this sample, we find similar results. Individual loans actually default more. This is our summary result. This sort of motivates our finding. So this is, I'll not spend a lot of time on sample construction. This gives us, we have close to 14,000 the borrowers, 14,100 borrowers. Number of loans is around 20,000 group loans, and 16,000 is individual loans. And number of installments, as I've hinted, and you guys know better than I do, that group loans are mostly weekly frequency. So obviously the repayment installments are higher for group loans. So this table basically, I'll move quicker. This is just giving you a breakup of how many are both weekly frequencies, how many are both monthly frequencies, and how many are weekly and monthly frequency. That's the subsample that we're going to use in each of the tables. So moving forward, this is giving you sort of summary of the borrowers, median age of 40, mean age of 40, whatever disclosed income. I'm sure the actual income may be slightly different, but this is what we got from the application form, the land holding, and so on and so forth. Now this is important throughout. Default, by default we mean missing payment even by a day. NPA we mean 90 days, and group is group loan. You may be wondering, why am I defining group loans? Because we are aiming at finance journals outside, and a lot of them don't know what is group loan. So that's why we divide if you read our paper. Okay, so this is our empirical specification. Starting regression equation, our outcome variable is default. It is a dummy variable that takes a value of 1 if it's default, otherwise 0. And we test this on whether this is a group loan or not. And then we include a set of borrower characteristics, because borrower characteristics should not be driving these results. That's why we account for, by borrower characteristics, we mean their age, income, whatever demographics that are there in the application form. That is the setup that we use. Also, please note, so we include borrower fixed effect. Now, what does it mean? Those of you who have training in economics will instantly get this, econometrics. By borrower fixed effect, what we do is we absorb all average characteristics of a borrower. It is not that somebody is, somebody is 50-year-old and that's why he or she is doing it. Somebody is in, somebody is like this, involved in some occupation, that's why he or she is doing it. No, all those average effects, which are time invariant of a borrower, are absorbed by this specification. So it is not because borrower is of a particular type, that is gone. We also account for month cross year fixed effect. This is to take into account your seasonality, right? Some months maybe, there may be good rainfall, bad rainfall, something else might have happened in some months. So we account for all kinds of seasonal effects also. So even, those of you familiar will instantly get it. Those of you not familiar also, you can trust me in believing that we have absorbed all individual level variation, which are sort of time invariant, type of a person, and we have also absorbed seasonal time varying characteristics. So these don't explain what we get. So that is why we can't just make claims based on the summary results I showed you. So this is our regression result. What it is telling us is, after accounting for things like household size, area, household income, expenses, average characteristics of the borrower, seasonality, and so on and so forth, after all this, we find that in cases where individual and group loans have to be repaid on the same day, a person is less likely to default on group loans. So the magnitude ranges from 8% to 14%, depending on what specification we use, what controls we include. But in general, and those stars tell you that these results are really significant statistically, which actually mean, they are very different from zero. And, this is our headline plain result. What we have is, after accounting for all factors that we could think of, the group loans actually outperform individual loans by close to 10%. So, and remember, this is same day repayment and same individual. And the reason we have like 6 columns is we use 3 variations. In one, we include all kinds of repayment frequency. In second, we include repayment frequency, different repayment frequency for different types of loans. And in third, we include same repayment frequency for same type of loans. The reason we do all this is we just want to be sure that our results are not driven by any of these factors. The next table, what we do is we go into NPAs instead of default, and similar result. Percentage is lower. Obviously, NPA numbers themselves are lower. We find similar results. Same individual is less like when he or she is required to repay 2 loans on the same day, is less likely to default on group loans. Now the question is, and obviously there are concerns, right? It cannot be that, I'm sure you guys will have more concerns than what we could think of, and that's why that's a value addition for us. We would want to improve the paper and make it as realistic as possible. But let's talk about concerns that we thought of. It's possible that some of the we don't, except in gold loans, we don't know whether these are collateralized or not. That I should tell you straight away. But what if the collateral can be, in India, there are cases like agricultural loans where even if you have collateral, crop loans and all, it's almost extremely, it's impossible to seize this collateral. So what if, whether this result is because of that, because individual loans collateral is anyway weak, is that the reason why they are defaulting more on individual, and group loans you lose friendship and so on and so forth? Is that the reason? What happens when collateral is strong, like a gold loan? That's there also do we find this result? Then is it because that group loans or individual loans are taken for different purposes, and people have different preference for different purposes? By preference, I mean the technical preference that we talk about in economics, where a person is, so we assume that person is born with a kind of preference, risk aversion and so on and so forth. Is it because people like some activities and group loans are taken for those activities and that is why they default less? Or is it because contract structure? And finally, we also ask, is the sample of borrowers having 2 simultaneous loans not representative of the population? Are these people special? The whole idea is, if these people are special, then you can't generalize this to rest of the population. So these are 3 questions that we take up and try to answer in subsequent slides. Remember, our claim is that this contract structure of group loans is preferred over individual loans when it comes to loan repayment on an average. Again, as I told you, it's on an average. There are people who do reverse as well. So let's take up the first concern. So we take cases where collateral is really strong. Think of land, or I'll go to the next table. In the next table, we are talking about a situation where gold is the collateral, and all of us know that in most cases it's hypothecated. Gold, question of enforcing collateral is easier relatively, and therefore if the concern is that people are defaulting on individual loans more because anyway collateral cannot be touched, court cases take ages, and bankruptcy, there is no individual bankruptcy law even today, then this should sort of address that concern. Even among gold loans, outperformance, you see the outperformance is crazy. Group loans outperform by a massive margin when compared to individual loans. So even where there is explicit collateral and collateral can be enforced because it's hypothecated in most cases, gold loans outperform. That's the first concern. Now then we take the purpose of the loan. Now here, whatever we find in the loan application, we create so many purposes, and now we add another condition, that group loan and individual loan, same borrower, same day repayment, borrowed for same purpose. So we put this condition and then test our hypothesis, we find similar results. So it is not the case that group loans people borrow, it's the outperformance. I'm not claiming that people in general borrow group and individual for same purpose. We are careful not to claim that. We are saying even when we limit use a subsample where they do, we find outperformance of group loans. So it's unlikely that this outperformance is because of the nature of business the borrower is into. Then we condition on purpose, we find similar. Third is, as I've said, is are these people different? Those who are getting two loans, are they representative of the population? If they're not, then you will learn nothing. It's more like a case study for this particular sample, and then that's it. This cannot be used beyond. So now what we've done in the paper, we'll be happy to share the paper with you. So we created a we is a sort of injustice to Nitin. Poor guy has put in a lot of effort to create all this. So all these pictures. So we have created all this. We sort of compare group loan entire people. Generally, you find all these t-test, mean, and all that. The problem is you can have two distributions with same mean, but everything else different, right? Tails can be different and all that. So that's why we thought let's be very transparent and compare the entire distribution of the entire loan book, which has all kinds of borrowers in this sample, and only our simultaneous people who have like two loans. So we compare them based on various characteristics ranging from age. So if you see, let's say, let me take up this figure on the top left corner. What is this? What are these two lines? These basically two distributions have been overlapped on one another. Now, if you tell me these look like one figure, that's like, sort of validating what we are claiming. That's what we claim. So even when we overlap two distributions on one another, you will not see, of course, they are slightly different. No two distributions are exactly same. If you see throughout, you take their two standard deviations, one standard deviation, whatever it is, they are sort of similar in terms of age. My subsample, our subsample, which has simultaneous loans versus the entire book of the loan book that was given to us, they are similar. Even in terms of household expenses, it's a different kind of distribution. It's nowhere close to sort of normal. Even there, it is similar. Household income is similar. Land also is more or less similar. Land is a bit discrete because there is, I think there is rounding off. It doesn't seem like it's more discrete. Of course, even age is discrete, but land seems to be more discrete. But you don't find any systematic difference between the two sets of two distribution. So our results are not due to the fact that collateral is not enforceable. Our results are not due to the fact that these people are different. Our results are also not because of the fact that these loans are borrowed for different purposes. So now we take a technical approach to further. This is for our referees who are not satisfied by this. In journals we have this referees who whenever you have an India paper, we have to go through this torture of showing that these are generalizable. So we do something called Heckman correction. I don't want to bore people with that. All that we do is, we account for selection. The idea here is simple, whether this is a self-selected sample, a very different from general population or not. And we are able to rule that out. Those who need more details, we'll be happy to talk about this. Then, having ruled out some alternative explanations, we try to explore why is this, what is going on. Obviously, the first possible candidate explanation is co-insurance, right? So whenever you are in trouble in group loans, you have others helping you out, and in individual loans, you are alone. So that's why maybe you are outperforming. That's one one explanation. Second explanation could be that monitoring is in groups. Monitoring is better because people people know each other. They are a small knit group and they know all that is happening with the person. Whereas in individual loans, the loan officer or whoever is in the NBFC does not have as much information. In fact, most of people many of the borrowers, when we see the income levels, they may not be even filing tax returns. You're not sure about their income and so on and so forth. So we try to understand what is going on. That's the next part of the paper. First, so first we will see what happens when there is a shock. Now there is this is something useful metric that you guys can use in your business also. How do you measure shock in a localized area? You don't have local GDP. The district GDP takes ages to come in. NSSO takes years to release data. So what we do is, and this is not our invention, obviously it's quite well known in academic research. We pick up this night lights data, which you can pick up at any lat long level, and this has been shown throughout the world. This is from satellite night light data. This is publicly available. Those of you are interested, we can guide you where this is available. So any area, any lat long combination, you can see the change in night lights at any point of time. You know, if I want to know economic activity in a small region, what has happened to it, you will find that you can get night lights, and if you have GDP data, you will find very good correlation between the two. And people have shown it in different types of countries, developed countries, developing countries. People have used shocks. For example, a very good result in Indian context is, I don't know how proper it is to talk about this, but this is what it is. That after GST, because trucks queuing reduced near check posts, night light at check post actually declined. You know what kind of economic activity was going on. I don't want to talk about that, but that's, you know, those of you understand, you understand. Those of you don't, that's fine. But that's a very robust result in the Indian context, right? So this is there everywhere. So we use night lights, satellite night lights, and identify shocks at the local level where the borrower resides, right? And we ask whether our results are, whenever there is a shock, whether group outperformance increases or reduces. If it increases, that means there is co-insurance at work. So maybe the others in the group are helping this guy. When if it doesn't, then co-insurance is not at work. So that's a question we ask, and we find that it does. So all that this table means, you know, you can look at the group variable. There is a 19% outperformance, and there is a third term. If you see group cross shock, so the outperformance increases by another 6%. So whenever there is shock, group loans actually outperform even more than individual loans. And interestingly, look at the coefficient of shock. On an average, everybody defaults more when there is shock. So this sort of validates the measure. See, I did not pick up shock from any GDP data, and this is completely orthogonal. This shock number comes from night lights. It's completely orthogonal. See, if you see the previous table also, it's very interesting how useful this data is. And I haven't seen many practitioners actually using this to gauge economic activity at a local area. Look at the coefficient. In this, we are just testing shock and default rate, no group or nothing. Generally, when there is a shock, default rate is higher. So that sort of validates the measure. And then we look at whether outperformance increases or worsens after the shock. Misha, I think I have 5-6 minutes, right? If I'm right?
Yes,
yes, I'll conclude by then. So co-insurance does work. Then we also ask whether it's a monitoring story. Is it the fact that in individual loans it's very hard to monitor because you simply don't have documents of the person, you know, and even if you have, they're not credible. So if this is the case, where you have more information than of individuals, then this outperformance should be lower. That's the hypothesis that we make. What is that we are testing? We are asking whether group loans outperform because groups can monitor, but NBF groups can monitor each other, the borrowers, but the NBFC is not able to monitor the individual borrowers because they simply don't have time varying information about the guy. So that's the question. So if that is the case, for individuals where credible information is available, at least relatively more credible information is available, the outperformance of group loan should be lower. This is the hypothesis we make, because if my information is available, then my lender should be able to monitor my progress as well. So that's what we find. So look at here, group is negative, but group cross high information. The third term that you find is positive, which means For those, so here I'm looking at high info. What is high? Sorry, I have to define high information. I didn't do it. High information, I mean those borrowers whose income is more than 5 lakhs. So we are assuming that these guys file tax returns. I know nowadays above 5 lakh also you have a lot of exemptions. This data is like 2-3 year old. That time 5 lakh, even if you spend save and everything, you will have to file return above 5 lakhs. So we are identifying borrowers with income over 5 lakhs. And there, interestingly, outperformance of group loans actually goes down, because for these borrowers, even the bank has more information, or the lender has more information. So the relative advantage of groups actually goes down. And here you will see that giving individual loans to these people may not be a bad idea altogether. So that's another result that we have. And then finally, we look at loan terms. Is it because what is happening to interest rate and loan amount and all that? So we find groups interest rate being slightly lower, loan amount being higher. And remember, always we condition on same person having two loans. That's something you have to remember always. Now the question is, a question may appear to you, that is it because that group loans have lower interest rates, that is why the guys, the borrower, he or she is defaulting lower on group loans? That, is there a preference for lower interest rate loans? That could be a question. So to answer this question, what we do is we pick up borrowers who have two individual loans, one with a high interest rate and one is low interest rate, and repayable on the same day. If it is the case that borrowers in general have preference for low interest rate loans, then you should find outperformance of low interest rate loans here as well. We don't find that. I'll just show you the tables. I have like 2 minutes left. That is why I'm going fast. Then similarly, we check whether it is a loan amount that is driving the result. Is it repayment frequency that's driving the result? We don't find any of those. So all in all, I think some of the results I may have to skip. Okay. So all in all, we find that after accounting for whatever we could think of as reasons other than loan structure that explains this result, we find that group loans, the structure itself improves loan performance. There seems to be some amount of co-insurance at work. There also seems to be some amount of a lack of monitoring, of inability of the lender to monitor individual loans also at work. But practical implications, I think I want to repeat in the 2 minutes that I have, is that what we can do now with the same setup, we can actually think about we can use a ML algorithm and identify, we can come out with predictions as to, given a borrower characteristics, whether this guy has a higher preference for group or individual loans. So once, if that can be found, through ML, that can be found experimentally through an RCT. If we find answers to that, that will help us in finding out borrowers of group loans who can be graduated to individual loans. B, also deciding loan terms and or maybe decision to grant a loan at all to different kinds of borrowers. So I'll stop here with this and we'll be happy to take questions. Unless Nitin wants to add anything.
No, it's okay. I don't want to add anything. I think we can take questions.
Yeah. Great, thank you so much, Professor Prasanna. That was really concise. I think what is really nice about this study, that at every instance that you test the performance of group loan versus individual loan, group loans outperform, and I think all of you have done a fabulous job of sort of one by one taking away each and every concern that might arise for this hypothesis, and sort of saying that the results hold good. So that's really great. I have a set of questions here with me as well, but before I go into bringing some of the points that I would like to discuss, I just will bring up the questions that have been shared by the audience on the toolbox. So we have a couple of questions by Rick Sane. So we'll perhaps take all the questions by Rick Sane first. The first question is it possible that the other members of the group help a member pay when she doesn't have the money, but only for the group loan? but not for an individual loan. Just so that these questions are clear, you can also quickly open the Q&A box to see. So, Prasanna, would you like to answer, or Nitin? So the question is it possible that the other members of the group help a member pay when she doesn't have the money, but only for the group loan, but not for an individual? How
Yeah,
would
so
you react to that?
that's very much possible, and that's what we find. If you see our results on co-insurance, right? When there is a shock, we find group loans outperform even more. When there is economic distress in the local area, the outperformance increases. So obviously, it must be a co-insurance. I'm sorry, I kept using the word co-insurance. This is exactly what I mean by co-insurance. Others helping this guy, this he or she, the borrower, and in individual loan, obviously there may be some help, but it's not explicit, right? You're not contracted to, but these things can be tested experimentally. We could do as much we could using the data, but if you do an experiment, we can find this more. We don't observe see, the problem with all these kind of empirical research is we have to develop hypotheses and do these kind of clever tests like night lights and all that to rule out or find out some explanation. We don't observe these things, unfortunately, but my guess is yes.
Right. And the other question by Rick is high information seems to be related to income or wealth and an ability to withstand shocks. So the nature of defaults for high information borrowers may be different, more strategic than because of not being able to pay. This shades the interpretation of the difference in default behavior one observes, which may not only be due to actual availability of information. Reactions to that?
So this is a good feedback. We should work more on this. But if you see, even for high information borrowers, in general, groups outperformance stays. It's not that group underperforms. It's only that the underperformance goes down. And when there is a shock, we will verify this. When there is a shock, we will find that even among high, see, we have not tested, at least shown you results where what happens when there is a shock among high and low income borrowers. Even there, I think groups will outperform. But I think your comment is well taken. We can do more tests on that. And right now we have explored only income because that income tax was a straightforward thing that we had. We can look at other aspects of high information as well. We'll think about it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Actually, there's one final question from Rick. Great idea on using drop of 20% in night lights as shock to local economy. I'm not clear whether the test using negative shock is the right interpretation. When there is a negative shock, everyone is hit badly. Shouldn't co-insurance work more when idiosyncratic shocks hit one borrower but not others?
Oh, fantastic question. So we are doing it in the process of revision. I totally agree. If the idea that we have is even when there is a common shock, your sensitivity to common shock will be different. So there will be people who will be able to help each other. That's the assumption why we picked up night lights. So now what we are doing is we are looking at occupational shock. So we are saying that what happens when in general, out of sample, not in this sample, take a different sample from that region, people belonging to that, but so let's say there are 4 members of a group and 4 of them belong to different occupations, and when that occupation is in trouble and not of the occupation of a borrower is in trouble but not of his or her group members, so does this outperformance continue there as well? That is what we are testing. Preliminary results indicate so. So yeah, we are working on this line, but it's again a great comment.
Yeah, actually, Prasanna, I'll just tag my question on this, along with Rick's. So when I read the paper, what I was thinking is obviously the method is really novel, right? The Nightlights data method to assess shock and economic slowdown is really great. My question was related to more from a research methodology perspective, which is that my understanding is that group members reside in close proximity to each other, neighboring villages, or same, or even within the same village for that matter. Therefore, when there is an economic slowdown and you are measuring the economic slowdown at a district level and assigning a dummy value of 1 when that group member is being hit by a shock, and so the likelihood of other members in that group are also being hit by shock is same. So how is it that other group members are helping them, and how would you interpret this result of mutual insurance playing out?
Okay, so as I've said before, it's of course a common shock, but sensitivity of different people to common shocks, even if they reside together, could be different. Even it's not that both the neighbors. There is a very famous statement of Ronald Reagan, if you remember. It's like digression. He said it's a recession when a neighbor loses job. It's a depression when you lose job, and it's recovery when Carter loses jobs. Carter loses his job. So I agree, idiosyncratic shocks are but very hard to measure, right? So how do I measure idiosyncratic shock to a person? The data is not updated at I don't have like real time income information of the person right now. I'm going with the assumption, but you should what is happening is, despite that, I'm finding that result. First of all, I find shock itself is correlated. That's why we do a first stage test. We don't just assume that nightlight is a shock and others have found it. In general, we find that shocks lead to more defaults, and within the shocks we find that group loans sensitivity of within the same guy is slightly lower. So our assumption is maybe there are people who within the groups who have some savings, some assets or something, who are able to help this borrower. But as I've told you, we are doing this occupational shock using a out of sample test where one person's occupation is in trouble but not others. So that will be a cleaner test. I sort of agree with you. And we have not made the table and all, I said, so that's why we didn't include. But preliminary results indicate that we are finding similar stuff there.
Sure, sure. Great, thank you. So moving on, we have a question from Beni, and she asks, how does the interest rate on both types of loan compare? Are individual loans cheaper or more expensive than JLG loans?
Individual loans are, we have a table. I'm sorry, I ran very quickly. I didn't spend much time on that. Individual loans are expensive on an average. So this thing you should always remember, this is on an average. Of course, there will be cases where they are cheaper than maybe group loans on an average. But then our result is not due to that. As I've told you, we have done a test where we take a guy having two individual loans with different interest rates, and you don't find this that on a loan with lower interest rate the person outperforms. That result you don't get. So this is not a mechanical result of group loans being either cheaper or expensive or larger or smaller.
Sure, yeah. We have a question from Badal. He says, I assume group in a JLG sense implies physical proximity, which creates social capital, which is arguably driving force for repayments. Is there any evidence around whether such group behavior is induced even without physical proximity, say on digital networks?
I think it's a fabulous question. We should work with this person for doing a paper. Nitin, please note down the address.
Yeah. I
don't think
I'm sure
it's
Badal is keenly
it's a
noting
very
that
nice
down too.
Unfortunately, sadly, or since we are so hung up on publications, we only look at publication prospect. From that point of view, this will be a fabulous question, because by group and separating proximity from, see, in our case that's not a problem, because why? We are looking at the same guy. It's the same person who is borrowing individual loan, same person having group loan. So it's not the case that this guy is sitting somewhere, individual loan is given to someone who is very far and group loan is given. So our research design is immune from that. But in general, what happens when these people are not in physical proximity, maybe among migrant people who belong to that village but living somewhere else, you create a group of those who originated from a place but working in that city versus those who are living there. How much of these kind of enforceability you lose because of that, I think is a fabulous question. If anybody is willing to give data, we'll be happy to work on this, do experiments or whatever. Thanks for suggesting this.
Yeah. There's a question that we have from Murthy, which is why do people not pay for gold loans? Do they not fear losing the asset?
Again, a very good question. I think I have sort of, when I said that some of you may not be understanding econometrics, I underestimated a lot of people. Fabulous questions. The reason is, see, there is good work on collateralized loans, and gold loans are given to those who are inherently risky. So imagine who are those people who are pledging gold loans. And this is, I have looked at data from 3-4 banks. I have data of banks, all branches throughout the country. It's a large nationalized banks. one fact is very clear: default rating on gold loan is high, not low. This is not a strategic default. These guys, they are already in distress. You know, they are in hopeless situation, and that's a time when most of the people, sort of pledging family silver. And this ties in well with the theory of, in academic theories also, of collateral. So I think it is because of that. It is not that they want to lose gold, but they are in bad situation. But even the point that we're trying to argue is, even at the expense of losing their individual collateral, they would rather pay group loans than individual loans.
Sure. Great. I'll just move on to the next set of questions. Nitin, if you would like to take this question. The question is, are there any differences observed based on geography? Some geographies might be more matured in terms of JLG loans, and customers might be behaving differently here. This is by Pavan Kumar.
Yeah, so we use data from 3 geographies. There is data from Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, and from Uttarakhand. So these are all from different geographies, and then we pull them together and then we run our tests. It is possible that some geographies might become more matured in terms of JLG loans. But I don't think that should make any difference to the results that we already observed.
One point I would like to add here, as I told you, in all our specification, we have this borrower fixed effect. So anything which is constant for a borrower is all absorbed. So location is, as long as it's constant, that's all taken care of. That's all.
Sure, thanks. We have a question from Umaidurai. The question is, are we trying to conclude that persons having more info or awareness on income and expenses delaying the group loan payment? Sorry, maybe this question is not fully clear. Is that clear to you, Nitin? This is a question by Umaidurai. Professor Prasanna, you're on mute.
Sort of understood. I think it's maybe for that result where we find that individuals where there is more information, the outperformance is lower. That's all. No, we are not saying that. Group loans continue to outperform even there as well, but outperformance is slightly lesser because the bank has more information about this. But for example, tomorrow if I start strategically defaulting, bank knows everything about me. It will be, I don't think I will behave very differently in a group and individual loan normally, unless the pandemic situation becomes really bad. So far, so good. So that's what I mean. Nitin, you want to add anything?
No.
Great, thank you so much. We have 2 sets of questions from another set of audience. So Nitin, perhaps you can take this. The first question is, does the loan have to be in JLG form, or can it also be individual loans backed in some form by a group of known people? And secondly, isn't the rate of interest for group loan 24% higher than individual loans, 18%? Does the inability to graduate to a higher ticket size in case of individual loans push them to delay the payments?
Yeah, so one thing is that does the inability to graduate to a higher ticket size? So group loans are already of a higher ticket size compared to individual loans in this setting. But I believe that the pressure from the group or the loss of social collateral that the individual faces on non-repayment of a group loan might be higher as suggested by our results, because that's what we are trying to compare, right? How much does an individual value the social ties versus how much does an individual value an individual relationship with the bank itself? And we find that the person is more inclined towards repaying a group loan rather than the individual loan. So Um,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
we also yeah, one I want to add one more thing on to that we also check for a smaller subsample where the loan sizes, the ticket size is same for both the group loans and the individual loans, and we do not find, if this was true, that people really focus on the ticket size and then decide their repayments, to delay their repayments, we would have found that there was no difference between the average repayment between group and individual loans when you look at loans which are of equivalent ticket size. But we don't find that difference. We do find the difference. We see that individual loans still are not paid as much. Group loans perform better.
Okay. Great. Thanks,
I
Nitin.
think the interest rate question Prasanna already answered, so I think it's
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, before I just read one last question from an audience, Murthy, I see that you've raised your hand, but I think it would be difficult for us to unmute you. It would be great if you can just type in your question in the Q&A toolbox, in case you have any other question. Okay, great. So the next question is by Srinivasan. Are the results common in urban and rural geography? Also, is there a difference between smaller and larger groups? So, Nitin, perhaps you spoke about this when you said that the study was done in 3 states, but can you elaborate on this?
Yeah, but so the data that we have is largely from rural geographies, and I don't think we have any distinction between whether the person himself or herself who has borrowed the loan lives in an urban area and has come back to the village to borrow the loan or something like that. But the branches themselves are, I think, largely located in rural geographies.
Okay,
And
great.
we also, actually, we do not observe the group sizes. We know that whether a group is whether a group loan is whether a person is whether a loan is a JLG loan or an individual loan, but we do not know who are the other people in the group. So it's from the data I cannot determine the size of the group. It would be nice to have that data. Like we have some data like for a smaller set, but that's not really clean. So I don't think I can answer this part.
Okay, we have a question from Ram Kumar Ratnam, which is it that if I see my members paying, I feel I do not want to default explicitly in front of others, hence the preference to pay. Is that one of the potential mechanisms for this
Yeah,
result?
it could be like this has been answered in the development economics literature, and they show that there is some effect of in group meetings versus others. But in our setting, all the repayments, at least for this data set, happen at the branch level. So also for even so, usually in microfinance there is a group village level group meetings that happen, but that's not the case in the KGFS data that we have. All the transactions happen, as far as I know, that all the transactions happen at the branch level itself, at the branch office, and people actually go and repay at the branch office and not in a group meeting. But the fact that these people are joined by they are in a joint liability contract for a same group, obviously they all know whether the other person is paying or not, so there could be some interaction and peer effect going on, but that's a little difficult to test.
Okay, I'll just move on quickly because I also wanted to talk about one final question. But before that, one question from Fenella. Interesting work, 2 questions. The effect size of 8 to 15 percentage point increase in default. Can you comment about this magnitude? And second, did you look at people who took 2 loans that are both group or both individual? How do repayment rates differ in this case? Perhaps it would help your story if there is no difference in repayment rates in these cases.
Yeah, this one is true. We have not shown that in the paper, but I think we ran that test. The second part, at least, that uh, we tested for individuals also. I think we have shown that in the paper. People who have borrowed two group loans, the results are like that. We don't see any difference in for people um, who have borrowed two individual loans or two group loans. We don't see much of a difference. But that's there definitely. How do we interpret this 8 to 15 percentage point is something I would want Prasanna to answer.
These are,
Yeah, so,
yeah.
so the question is that
No, I
the
heard,
effect size.
I heard.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I was not sleeping.
Oh,
Yeah.
you were looking into abyss.
Anyway, same thing. Yeah, okay. So the 10 to 15%, because this is default. This is not NPA. When you look at NPA, it comes to 5%. Because we even missing one installment one day, we call it default. So that is why I think 10 to 15% is reasonable. Now, if you take in the paper, we have the way we call it economic magnitude. We have related it to the average default rate in the sample. It's 30 to 40% of average default rate, which is big enough to have an impact on bottom line of any borrower, any lender. Even in terms of NPA, I think it is reasonably big. The good test that we can do, since you asked, is in terms of when in terms of distress, what is the additional default that happens. So those economic magnitudes we have not computed, but I think in general this is big enough.
Okay, thank you so much. Prasanna, I actually have one final question from my side, which is I really wanted to get your perspective on the implications of this study, you know, especially in terms of the product design. So the question really is, are there any product design implications that you see emerging from this study, especially in terms of flexibility of contracts, such that group loans do not act as a deterrent for performance of individual loans? You know, given how we see that in this study that when borrowers have to make both loan payments on the same day, group loans outperform. But even when they have to make the payments in the same month, group loans do better than individual loans. So how should, you know, in your perspective, how should microfinance institutions and other lending to low-income households think about structuring their loan contracts such that the performance of one is not affected by the performance of the other? Is there a case here to be made for more flexibility, less flexibility, and you know, how should they be thinking about the structure of the loan contracts is something that I wanted to ask you.
Yeah. So as I motivated at the beginning, our goal was rather academic, but I think this can be used practically. Number one, there is immense heterogeneity within borrowers. Like there are people who are unaffected. There are people who actually have a preference for individual loans. There are people who do better under group loans. Now, in a practitioner, if I were a practitioner, what I would do is, today, you know, you have all kinds of algorithms that can be trained to identify such people. Given all these observable characteristics, I would create a sort of risk score for each person and ask this question, whether for this person, when I suppose you come to me, you already have a group loan, right? And you come to me with an individual loan. Now, given what I know, I will create a risk score for this individual loan and will find out whether this will be as good as group loan. It is higher on the pecking order, it's lower on the pecking order. If it is lower on the pecking order, I would not give, or I would charge you more. If it's higher on the pecking order, I may decide to give. Even if it's indifferent, I may decide to give. So this design can be used. Findings themselves, you know, they just tell you that group loans are good, but one step further from these findings can be really useful, and that's very easily implementable, and we have done that also. Second quick useful finding that we have, if we combine this with, we have another paper, we can maybe talk some other time. We can create a sort of group risk score. You know, I'm talking to credit bureaus also. You have individual risk scores. What we find is 4-5 people, when they combine together, or people of average risk score and with enough diversification, they may be on an average superior to, you know, sum of 4 individual scores, or even sometimes inferior. So that's another thing that one can think about, but the first thing can be really implemented using our data and setup.
Yeah. No, that's helpful actually, you know, because we know that slowly microfinance sector is gradually adopting the individual lending model as well, and it definitely provides more flexibility, more customized solution, as well as for especially the mature clients who have increased their repayment capacity and who need larger loans. There might be a real case here to be made for individual loans, right? But given that the study is saying that group loans outperform individual loans on an average, you know, that question does come to my mind, which is how should practitioners think about this problem? And obviously, on the other hand, you have a case to be made for individual loans. So, you know, just wanted to get your quick thoughts on that as really a closing remark. So thank you so much, Professor Prasanna and Nitin. I think we've covered all the questions that came to us, both in Q&A and the chat box. And I hope this is helpful for some of the practitioners who've been listening into this call. So really great and grateful to both of you to make this presentation and take the time for us.
Yeah. So you can reach out to us on our email. So we'll be happy to answer more questions and engage on research. So our interest is only research. So that's all.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nitin. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in.